morning, everyone. It's Francis. 8:30 a.m. in Texas. Let's start off this collision course with an announcement. This evening on the Night Skies Network at 9 p.m. in New York, we'll be doing a live telescope broadcast from the mobile setup of Cosmic Obsession. Once again, you can get a free registration to the Night Skies Network by visiting thenightskiesnetwork.com, getting a username, and then logging in. And at 9 p.m. tonight in New York, you'll find the Cosmic Obsession link live and our telescopes running. So we'll see you then. Now, let's move on to Phobos-Grunt. European Space Station Agency establishes contact with Errant probe. This was one of my objects in space that I was paying attention to, the failed space mission joint venture, Russian and Chinese space agencies working together to send a mission, Phobos-Grunt, to Mars. The Russian section of the Phobos-Grunt space mission would go to Mars's moon Phobos, while a planetary satellite from China would orbit Mars. Excuse my stumbling. So China was expected to release their satellite around Mars and take high-def images, new high-def images of Mars, while the Russians were going to the moon Phobos of Mars. The European Space Agency has received the first signal from an unmanned spacecraft bound for the moon of Mars since it got stuck in Earth's orbit. The ESA, which has been helping Russia to try to communicate with the Errant probe, said in a statement Wednesday that its tracking facility in the Australian city of Perth established contact with the spacecraft late Tuesday. Russia's space agency, Roscosmos, said Russian and European space experts will coordinate further attempts to contact the Phobos-Grunt probe. Lots of typos here, and this is in the Huffington Post. I'll leave the links below in the description. I searched for the news on Phobos-Grunt. We came up with the Huffington Post, and as we can see, the editors stink. I must have edited this article. The $170 million craft has become stranded in orbit after its thrusters failed to fire after the November 9th launch to send it to one of Mars's two moons, Phobos. The ESA's success in picking up a signal from the probe has raised hope that engineers could prevent its uncontrollable plunge to Earth. Well, this is telling us that they got contact, but this is not telling us that it's in control yet. So there are other sources. Universe Today, contact established with Phobos-Grunt spacecraft. Can the mission go on? The editor's note is that David WARMFLASH, who wrote this on November 23rd, is the principal science lead for the U.S. team from the life experiment on board the Phobos-Grunt spacecraft, provides an update on the mission for Universe Today. It's an exciting development in the ongoing story of the Phobos-Grunt mission. A tracking station at Perth, Australia, established contact with the Russian spacecraft on November 22nd at 2025 UT. It was the first signal received on Earth since the mission to Mars moon was launched on November 8th, 2011. The teams from ESA who made the initial contact are now working closely with engineers in Russia to determine how best to maintain communications with the spacecraft as controllers begin the task of figuring out how to use this achievement to enable sending the spacecraft new commands. Discussion is ongoing whether the launch window will still be open for the craft to complete the mission. So they have high hopes. We're going to go back. There's more information in here, and I'm going to leave the links below so that the articles get their credits. This video is made for research on this object for Collision Course, the amateur astronomer that I am, and Cosmic Obsession. We also have some information about Phobos-Grunt, what the mission intended to do. The Phobos-Grunt mission would start with the launch on a two-stage Zenit rocket from Site 45 in Baikonur Cosmodrome, Kazakhstan. at the end of 2011, November 8th. Here is telling us by the beginning of 2011 the launch window was expected to open on October 26th to 27th and last for about 20 days. So that would give us, they were in the launch window. The spacecraft would initially enter a low parking orbit around Earth. This is news to me. This is news right here. Where it would separate from a second stage of the Zenit rockets. The separation would trigger a signal with a triple backup to activate the onboard command sequencer. So we have a triple backup system that's not working. A redundant system. The attitude control system, SOIS, was supposed to stabilize the spacecraft after separation. So there I am. Now I'm getting my evidence that there were thrusters that could keep the keep it parked stabilized in a low parking orbit around the Earth. Followed by the activation of 2 optical solar sensors, OSD. In no more than 15 minutes, the spacecraft was programmed to lock itself onto the sun with an angular accuracy of 1 degree to maintain solar orientation. The flight control algorithm was designed simultaneously to process input from both OSD optical sensors and from a BIB inertial gyroscope, thus achieving higher chance for the accurate position of the spacecraft in space by the time it leaves daylight portion of the orbit to enter the Earth's shadow. During this phase of the flight, telemetry could be downlinked via RPT-111 transmitter, which could be activated by the request from the ground station, and also it was backed up by a PVM timer synchronized with an onboard time system. The same principle controlled the RDM transmitter. Well, basically, they're telling us they got a lot of stuff in there, but none of it worked. Switch to 3 maneuver scenario. In anticipation of the engine firing during the second orbit, the spacecraft would switch to inertial orientation. The final 2 maneuvers. I'm just reading through this, so I'm going to leave the link. During the flight in the emergency mode, the spacecraft was programmed to enter solar orientation and stabilize itself. Onboard batteries would recharge from solar panels pointed toward the sun. So we got onboard power hungry system, including the RPT-111 and the RDM. So I'm going to link to this information. This was new information that I learned about the parking orbit in stage 2 and the stabilizers. So maybe they still have a chance. Let's see. I don't know what that all means. I can imagine that the Russian Space Agency is going out of their gourd, launch, and then we go around, separation of block of tanks, DV separation, corrections, okay, so there's a launch, separation of block of tanks, and then it's going on its way, correction to Mars, then it's orbiting Mars, rendezvous with Phobos, and this doesn't show us the Chinese satellite that goes around it, but I had another link which showed it, but let's go to the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to heavensabove.com, and again I'm going to leave the link there, and this is where you can track objects and satellites in space. We're going to configure where we are, select from map, select from a map where you are. Let's move me over here, or let's put me there. Time zone. I'm -5, USA, Canada, East, -6, I mean. There, and submit it, and then they know where I am. And we have the satellites that we can track right away. Plus, there's lots of other ones: the ISS, Tiangong 1, Phobos-Grunt, Phobos-Grunt rocket. We'll click on Phobos-Grunt here. Here are the times that it's going to pass over me: 23rd, 24th. So it's going to come over me on the 23rd. Today's the 23rd, so it's already gone. Oh, 30, and then 23rd at 4:31. 4:31 on the 24th at 4:28. The 25th, 4 o'clock. So you have to get the first one at midnight. Midnight, 25 minutes, midnight. So it comes around at midnight. So maybe if we're up at midnight, maybe we'll get a description of what it is. We'll be looking for it tonight. Now there's more stuff on Phobos-Grunt. Here's the orbit. I'm looking at it because this isn't the normal way I'm used to looking at this. Let's try that again. What does that give me? I'm trying to see it the way I'm used to seeing, which gives us the map, but I'm not getting the map now. I don't know why, but I'll leave this link there so that you can use it. And this gives us all types of tracks and where it's tracking. So what was this one for? Ground track plot on the 23rd of November. Oh, this is the rocket. That's the rocket. I have been used to seeing the map of the world and watching it go around. Maybe they've changed it, I don't know, and this is the new one. But you can come to the Heavens Above and get all sorts of information about satellites, the ISS. We just got done talking about the Phobos-Grunt, so we have more information, and it's been contacted it received a signal from a tracking station in Perth, Australia for the European Space Agency, and we'll be paying attention to see if they get it on its way. If they get it out of here and up here. And according to this information, which I had incorrect about not knowing if it had two sections that it could go higher with, and if it had stabilizers, it actually did, because this is the description of it parking in a low orbit around Earth and then using stabilizers and tracking on the sun. So good luck to the Russian Space Agency, and I hope that we get it off, and I hope that their space mission doesn't fall to Earth. But we'll be paying attention. And this is Francis. I'll talk to you soon. This is a little talk about new information, and we'll see you tonight on the Nice Guys Network at 9 o'clock in New York for our live telescope broadcast. NiceGuysNetwork.com. The live telescope feed is called Cosmic Obsession, and we'll see you in about 11 hours.